Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Middleton Zoning Board of Appeals open meeting for the month of October 2019. Please be advised that tonight's proceedings are videotaped for both video and audio. We are going to divert from the agenda a little bit tonight. We have a couple of small items that shouldn't take a lot of time to keep people from sitting around, so I'm going to move first to 221 South Main Street, River Street LLC. And that's a minor or major modification request. Do we have any correspondence on that?
We do.
I don't want you to read it, I just want, we do.
You sure?
Yeah.
Katrina? There, I believe, Mr. Kelly did send a letter.
Oh, the letter, yeah.
Yeah, it's
not
a
in
long letter. Did you want them to read the letter? Okay.
Yeah.
Warren Kelly, 7 River Street, LLC. And as you are all aware, I've been approved for this building, 7,800 square foot building behind the Starbucks Plaza. And I have secured a tenant for the building, and the tenant would like to add some large bathroom areas for the employees, okay? So going to be office type use in there. So what they're requesting is that on the long side of the building here, could we add 10 feet? And to look at the elevation, first of all, looking at the building, there would be no change whatsoever in the building. It'd be down this end, which would be the end towards Walgreens, which is, right now, it's just gravel, would be a panel, another 10-foot panel. So there would be no change there. As far as parking, as far as the entire site plan goes, parking, drainage, lighting, travel, everything, there are absolutely no changes whatsoever. The drainage was all designed for the larger building, which was originally 11,000 square feet, and the board had concerns with that size, so we reduced it down to 8. And what this 10 feet does basically is it allows to have male and female bathrooms, large ones, without taking away from their office space. Quite frankly, this here is the retention pond. That 10 feet's not visible from anywhere. And I would like to ask if that could be considered, where there's absolutely no change in the site whatsoever, not one bit. If I went through the whole process, I'd come back with the exact same board, because there's no changes. We're just looking to be able to put 10 feet.
You're saying no changes. In what I read, it looked like you were increasing the size of the building 750
Yeah,
square feet.
that's that 10 foot. I'm talking about on the site, no site changes.
Site changes. Okay.
What it is now currently on the site, this area here is for boats, to store boats. So I'm giving that up to put 10 feet. There's no elevation changes, there's no changes whatsoever, except I'm taking where I was gonna put boats, and I'm gonna add 10 feet, and if you look at the building, I sent you a little drawing. Again, I don't know there's no vantage point that you'd even see that 10-foot panel, but again, it's 10 feet. And quite frankly, if the board allowed, I could go down to 8 feet, but panels come in 10-foot panels, so. And I'm just asking if they could consider that a minor modification versus a major modification. My understanding is a major modification would be if parking or if anything was affected, but there's absolutely nothing is going to change on this site. It's just going to go from gravel to.
You keep saying nothing, but you're adding
The building.
750 square feet.
I'm talking about the site, I'm sorry. I'm separating the site from the building. The site itself, nothing's changing. That's my request. Suppose that.
You're aware that if it was a minor modification, the building commissioner could grant that. You know that, right?
Yes, I'm fully aware
And
of it.
obviously, he hasn't. That's why we're here.
Well, because, yeah, that's why I'm here requesting it. I don't know if the building inspector has anything against it. It's just that the way your decision was written is that anything over 1 foot, I'd have to come back. So I'm asking that could I put that panel on there, or versus come back through all the meetings again with basically the same thing. My personal feelings, if I was changing parking or travel or anything like that, I would consider it, as you would, a major modification. It's strictly your decision, that's what I'm asking, versus the foundation is going in, obviously I'm trying to beat the weather, the foundation's going in, it's scheduled for the last week in November. So even if I was to go through all the boards again, it'd be really tight. But one way or another, the foundation's going in, so it's either gotta be 10 feet shorter and it's a request of my tenant, like I said, I secured a tenant, otherwise I wouldn't be here. I was happy with the building, but the way the tenant's got it laid out, it would really be a big help if he could put, or they could put what they wanted to put as far as, it's basically the bathrooms. Okay.
Can I ask a question? Is the building 75 feet long? Is that why this it ends up being 750?
No, the building, yeah, 75 foot deep, and it's
Sorry.
105 feet long.
Okay.
And again, I really have to stress where I'm putting the 10 feet is way down on the Walgreens. The Starbucks drive-through traffic, all of that is way around. The only way you'd see it is by driving into the parking lot. And again, you're talking 10 feet.
Scott, what do you think?
It's not within what I could have approved for the decision.
Oh, got that. Okay.
Obviously.
But it's,
Okay.
in terms of the building itself, is that
It's about 10%, I think.
10%?
The existing building proposed was about 7,500 or
Yeah.
79,
79, I think it's
79, so it's a
79.
little under 10% of the building.
It was originally 11,000 and I reduced it to 79.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here to speak in favor of this request? Anyone to speak in opposition? Okay. You read the correspondence from,
Oh, there isn't. I
he
don't-
just said the one letter that he wrote, is that?
That was it.
Yeah,
That was all? Okay.
there's no public hearing, so
Yeah,
we have no
that's
butters.
just his letter, that's, the board's aware of that. Okay. The board have any questions about this request? Okay. Have a motion?
Anybody have an opinion?
Hmm?
Any opinions?
I actually don't have a problem with it. So the elevation that would be affected, where's Mr. Kelly? The elevation that would be affected, I mean, you're just carrying the same, I
Right,
don't
no-
remember
no
what the
changes
elevation
on
at
the
that side
elevation.
looked like. So you'd just be carrying the same details?
Yes,
out.
no changes.
I mean, I don't think it would be fair to have to come before the board if the building inspector doesn't have a
And it
major.
borders the what, outback, the,
The
Walgreens.
part of the stormwater,
is it impinging too close to that, or is there any,
Leach field there
would they have
too,
any,
right?
no, it
Concom
was,
have any problem with that?
on the approved plan, it was outside storage, which I
So he's
assume
taking
he's.
that away.
Warren, would you mind coming back up?
He said this.
So you're taking the boat use away from the project?
No, on that side. I was gonna store boats on that
Yeah,
side,
but
obviously.
the boat storage was accessory to one of the retail units?
Yes, and I still have a small retail unit in it, yes.
So it's
In the
outside
back building or the
storage
front
that's
building?
now gonna be inside, really?
It
Well,
does-
no, it's gonna be bathrooms for
Well,
his
that,
tenant.
I realize that, I'm just saying, you're taking an outside storage area, just covering it over, basically.
Yes, that's what I was doing.
Right, is that what, do I got that right? So the
Yes.
the footprint for the ground is the same, it's not any closer to the wetland, I mean, the retention.
No, it is. It's what was outside space, the building is moving 10 feet.
Right,
Is growing
but
10
the storage
feet.
area was
Yeah.
against that.
Just keep in mind that the reason why we have a public hearing is so that abutters are notified of the change. We don't know if any of the abutters around here have anything to say about this addition. If this was in the industrial park next to Dixie Drive, it might be a different situation. We don't know because we can't ask them because it's not a public hearing right
Well,
now.
who are the, there's no. who are the
There's
butters?
Walgreens, you're an abutter, right?
Yeah,
The
Bear
Marine,
Marie's a butter.
Walgreens,
I
and
could,
then
yes, Jim Fortin behind us,
Richardson's, Fortin.
airtight to the butter. He will be here tonight, but he has no objection. and then Richardson's a butter, and, but on that side, it's, I don't know if you're familiar on that side, it's all woods on that side, where I'm back here in pocket, it's all woods.
Mr. Richardson, do you have any objection? Do you have any objection?
We haven't seen the plan, so how can?
We haven't seen much of the plan, so, you know,
I just,
I'm not here to complain about this plan.
He would have to provide a revised plan. So Warren, the plan you provided is a mocked-up version of the original plan. If it's approved, you would have to provide a updated plan stamped by the engineer,
Yes.
showing the parking for the appropriate square footage, the appropriate number of parking spots, showing that what you're saying works, because all you did was you mocked up the engineer's plan, so the calculations are based on your previous use.
Right.
But there was extra parking built in too, I understand
Yes,
that.
what the engineer designed as far as for drainage and parking, he designed, the whole design was done for an 11,000 square foot building. I reduced it because of the concerns of the board last time to 7,900.
Yeah.
But I didn't change any engineering.
But you understand the office use has a different parking requirement
Yeah,
than
but
than the contractor base, so,
And we do exceed it, we've got extra.
which we would need from the engineer.
Nope, that's no
If the
problem.
board approves it, before any permits are issued, your engineer would have to
Yep,
update.
I understand that, no problem.
Would that give people a chance to object or say anything?
Not if the board grants it as a minor modification, it would only be that I would have to verify before I issue his building permit,
Verify that it's
that the parking, that what he's telling you is in fact
true.
true.
Right.
And if
That the
it's not,
parking is sufficient
Updated
for what's,
plan. An updated
it would have to
plan.
be, if you want the abutters to be notified, it would have to be a public hearing.
I would ask the board to think about maybe thinking about a policy in the future on what kind of minor modifications they're going to approve. Are they going to approve ones this size that don't affect the parking so that you treat everyone fairly in the future? Or else you're gonna have a lot of people coming asking you for minor modifications for larger and larger additions.
right, well, that's my concern, right? Because we're not reducing, we're increasing here.
Yes.
And that's the concern, right? That we set a precedence.
If he was reducing, it would meet the
Yeah,
requirement.
I understand that, that's what I'm saying, so he's not reducing. So the only things that will change, other than the size of the building, what else would potentially change?
The parking requirement could
Parking
change
requirement.
based on his proposed tenant.
It's up on the screen
Yeah,
behind you.
anything else that would
That-
potentially change?
That's the original plan that's been mocked up, so that hasn't been recalculated by the engineer based on the new tenant. So if the board approves a minor modification, it would just be subject to him providing an updated plan showing proper parking and the stormwater is in fact sufficient for the,
I ran this all by Williams and Garages who did the plan. And again, it's set up with excess parking and it's set up for an 11,000 square foot building. So everything you see is set up for 11,000 square foot building.
And
So
this is
that
how
extra
many
10
square feet again?
The total building with another 700 square feet would be like 8,400 square feet. Considerably under what was gonna be there. And we also added, we added a lot more parking from what the original plan was, because when we reduced the building, we added parking spaces there. And we did that to relieve the parking concerns in the front. Remember, we all had those discussions.
Okay. Thank you.
it's a decision. But it would need to be submitted before he gets a building permit.
The revised plan.
Yeah, he has to submit that, no matter, if you guys approve it, he has to give me a revised plan that shows everything works.
And I think once before we approved a site modification, but it was like, it was a change to like a loading zone dock, and it was different. I don't feel as though we're really changing the shape and the intent of the building. We're changing the size of it. but that's my opinion. We're not changing the layout, we're not changing the exterior. 10 feet on a building that long is not gonna even
Would
be
this cause
noticeable.
any precedence issues, Katrina? If it's a minor,
Not if you treat everyone the same coming after.
in terms of, what are you saying? In terms of, trying to be more specific. I don't want to put a lot of contingencies on this, but
You can approve it as a minor modification, subject to him
that's what I'm asking.
submitting the engineering plans that are required.
But none of that's up for public review, unfortunately.
No.
Put it this way, this is real borderline then, because I
Yeah.
really thought that you would all think that this was a major
No, I
modification.
do, I just, I don't want to have to.
So you probably don't want to go any further than this.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I personally, I think it's because it's increasing so much by 10, like you said, by 10%. 10% seems to be where we've been
Little
kind of
less.
hovering around for our major changes. And I do think because we're surrounded there by other people that have not been notified, that it's kind of needs to be, these people need to be able to weigh in if they want to. Because it is 10% and more.
It's actually a little under.
It's going with the 10, Scott, come on. Is this a simple majority vote, or is this a,
It is.
It's a simple majority, yeah.
Our next meeting is December.
Somebody has to
Yeah,
make a
I just
motion,
don't think it's fair to hold up a
one way
project
or another.
and
I'm just so you guys know where I am. I'm kind of siding with Anne. I think we're not meeting again until December 5th, and
the weather's
it's-
again.
the
You
weather's
could
an
hold
issue, and I
up
think
his
it's a little-
construction for.
a
I
little
understand
unfair.
that, but again, I come back to, we're not changing the shape of the building, we're not changing the design of the building, we're not moving a loading zone or dock, we're not, and we've done that in the past, and that I felt was a little bit different.
You know what? Put that in your motion, so that it's in the motion. and
That's
so
where I'm coming from.
There are certain reasons why you're deciding this is
This,
a minor
this
mod.
building is still going to look exactly the same to the average individual, it's not
well, you have to
encroaching.
talk about what's going on outside too. You know what I'm saying, like, it's not encroaching any more or less on the footprint.
Based on the site plan, it's not, he's not coming into any setback areas,
You just said it, so there's your motion.
Can we turn that into a motion? I'll make a motion to
Okay.
accept, someone wanted,
Oh, did you want to be in opposition from before?
Not in opposition, no.
Okay.
Is that okay?
We had, already went through that, sir, but you came in late, but if you'd like to speak, I'll give you an opportunity, yeah?
And what's your name?
My name's Jim Forden. I own the
Come up to the
property.
microphone, please, so they can record you.
My name's Jim Forden. I own the property at 50 Runlet Way at the end. I will be looking at the extension of this building, and I have zero objection to him doing this. I think it's be a good thing for his property.
Oh, okay. So you're okay with it?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Is that this property right here? That must be.
The
Yeah.
installation company in the back.
Okay, Ann.
No, go ahead, keep
do I
going.
have to do this in perfect legalese? I will make a motion to accept that the extension of the property at 221 South Main Street by 10 feet is an
Minor.
is a minor
Modification.
modification to the approved plans, based on the fact that the design intent of the building is not being affected or
What's
changed
outside too?
in any objectionable way, in my opinion.
And the site isn't being.
And the site is not being affected. Is this where we have to add in
The outside.
that we would also request that the site plan be submitted
Be
prior to,
updated.
be updated to
Add
incorporate?
it as a condition, but he's not
Okay.
getting a permit
Conditional of
without
that.
it, so
Yeah.
he's aware of that.
So it's kind of
Yeah.
safe. So that's my motion, if
I
it
think
makes
he might
sense.
have
I'll
it.
second.
Motion's made and second. All those in favor vote?
I,
I'm going to say no, but it's a simple majority anyway, right? Will it pass?
Yep.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay.
Did you vote?
I vote yes.
Yeah, I was gonna
Sure,
say, we're waiting.
Yes.
can I add as that condition? Or is it standard, it's going to be met anyhow?
Condition that the updated site
Plan be submitted to?
Yep, I've got it.
Okay.
Okay, that's all set. Let's move to the next item on the agenda. We're going to move to North Meadow Village, the expiration of completion, construction completion, B&B Development Group. Yeah? You want to get up and we'll address you? You're looking for the return of your construction escrow?
Yes.
And we have a letter approving that, right?
Do you want me to read it
that?
now?
Yeah.
The one letter that you have to read is from our conservation
Right.
agent, because that was the
That's what
one
we got, yeah.
outstanding issue.
Right.
That's
So-
what we're reading now.
So at the, this is dated Wednesday, October 9th. At the Conservation Commission meeting on October 1st, the commission voted to issue a certificate of compliance for the North Meadow Village at 225 North Main Street project. The property owner has fulfilled the requirement to close out the conservation permit before the release of the bond, and that's from Kristen Kent, our conservation agent.
And then the last thing that's needed is the building commissioner has to
I was
approve the release.
just going to mention that, yes.
Okay.
That the building commissioner has also approved that, so the board will vote. Is there a motion to return that escrow account?
Make a motion to return the escrow account.
The motion made, is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion's made and second, all those in favor vote. Aye.
Yeah.
Yes.
You're all set,
Thank you very
sir.
much. Appreciate your help.
Check's in the mail.
Here,
Already spent.
Okay, we're going to go to 303 Main Street. Next item on the agenda we're going to go to is 303 North Main Street, permit number 1082.
Zoning Board of Appeals will hold a public hearing Thursday, October 24th at 7 PM at Fuller Meadow. Act on the following petition on the application of 301 North Main Street LLC for a special permit site plan approval under Section 9.4 pursuant to Section 3.1.2 and Section 3.3.3 and Section 9.5 of the Middleton zoning bylaw, or any additional relief the board may find necessary to allow commercial contracting business and outdoor storage yard, and to allow the proposed site plan and modifications to lots 301 and 303 North Main Street, found on Assessor's Map 9, parcels 62 and 63. The abutters have been notified, and there is one letter.
Oh, yes, and you said you're going to.
Counselor?
Good evening, Jill Mann here on behalf of Matt and Natalia Chiaradonna. This project is actually a compilation plan. We're going to be combining two properties. If the board remembers, maybe about a year ago, we had actually secured a permit to redevelop a parcel of land located at 301 North Main Street. Remember, there's that really dilapidated home that was located way in the back of the property? It had been the subject of many attempts to redevelop, and finally, Mr. Chiaradonna, via his company, 301 North Main Street LLC, had acquired that property and has since constructed a contractor's garage. It's a big building that you probably now see on North Main Street. Well, Mr. Chiaradonna and his wife live on the adjacent parcel, which is 303 North Main Street. And they have two very little girls and no longer want to live on North Main Street that close to the highway, so have actually secured an arrangement with their bank that they can combine the parcel with the garage and convert that existing single-family home into an office. This particular parcel is in the M1 zoning district. When the properties are combined, they will have an excess of 70,000 square feet. An M1 parcel requires 60,000 square feet and about 125 feet of frontage. This property has all of those things. So as before, it was a legally existing, non-conforming lot. Now, because of the combination, it is a legally existing lot, and that does conform to all requirements of the M1. Provided, however, the existing home, which is there, is not located with 100 feet back from North Main Street. You know, we have that requirement. Accordingly, this particular project still requires a special permit because there is a nonconformity. So whenever you're going to alter an existing nonconforming structure, you have to come back to this board to explain what the change is, what the change in use is, and then to demonstrate that this is a use that is preferred above that which is the nonconforming use. So that's the background. So basically, this particular project had a couple of starts and stops that had some issues and had to go back to the Conservation Commission because some work was done on the adjacent parcel. They actually complied with the order of conditions, but need to do additional work to actually regain some pervious area. This property is not only in M1, but in the Watershed Protection District, that overlay district. And that overlay district says, you know what, even though you can have a certain amount of building space, even though you can cover all of this area and don't need open space, the Watershed Protection District says that's not the case. So you have a heightened level of requirement, and that is your buildings cannot cover more than 10%. And you must leave open at least 75% of your property cannot be covered by any type of surface that is likely to impede the growth of vegetation. There was some disagreement relative to what actually impedes the growth of vegetation, which is why I say to you, we are actually having to add loam, seed, and remove materials that otherwise can impede, or actually add materials so that we can grow, because there's about maybe 7,000 square feet of area that needs to be vegetated, and that's going to happen. So essentially, at this point, based on the proposed plan, what you will have, or what the town will have, is a site that has 7.5% covered by buildings, that being the garage as well as a single-family home that will be converted to offices. And then the site has 25% impervious areas, so those being the buildings and all parking areas and the outdoor storage area. So if you recall, this board did approve at the prior 2018, if you will, decision for 303, it approved outdoor storage. We are actually maintaining only the outdoor storage behind the existing building, and then we're kind of reconfiguring where the outdoor storage is. So at this point, we actually have the outdoor storage. I have mine in my purse, but I'm not going to go get it. We have the outdoor storage combined. Originally, when we first submitted the plan, just in case you saw the package from the first and didn't look at the most recent versions, we had shown 3 individual areas, and based on conversations and comments from Mr. Fitzpatrick, we combined those because, in fact, it wasn't really clear how you'd get into the storage areas, so we reconfigured it to be one area, and this is it right here. And then, if you will, all of this area here is around the building or around the home is grassed and is going to remain grass. You know, you might ask yourself, well, Joe, why aren't you putting any trees? Well, the reason is, look at all the septic system issues. You really can't put trees over that area. But we are putting a fence that is going to go, if you can see right here, there's the fence. It goes across the property and then goes down Piedmont. That serves 2 purposes. First purpose is, doesn't allow anybody to access Piedmont because they're not supposed to. And it provides a visual block for people who live on Piedmont. Piedmont, as this board knows, is residential towards the rear, and it would be nice to keep it, visually so. So we do have a fence that we're proposing. The back and the neighbor in this area does have some, I think you might remember, some landscape storage stuff, but we again are separated from that particular use. So essentially what this property is doing is taking a nonconformity and making the entire corner conform. It's in an M1 district. The use is still going to be that contractor. It's JC Fence will be the initial contractor going in. And that home will be subject to building permit requirements and compliance via Mr. Fitzpatrick. And the changes that are going to be made are clearly to create the equipment area and to revegetate back in this area and to plant. And by the way, we did go to the Conservation Commission and got an order of conditions, but we do need to go back to them because we need to get the location of the equipment storage area approved, and we need to just demonstrate that we're adding back the green space because we don't want them to have a plan that's different from your plan, they really should be the same exact plan. So we're going to do that, and we'll refile. My guess is if this board were to choose to prove it this evening, we'll immediately file the plan and get that going through conservation. Again, so what's required is a modification to the 2018 approved plan, also a special permit to allow an alteration of a legally existing non-conforming use from a residential use to a conforming use, which is the office. And then also a special permit to allow the building to be an office for contractors with the outdoor storage associated with the rear of the property. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here to speak in favor of this project? Anyone to speak in opposition? Okay. Mickey, you want to read the letters? Do you have any letters on that?
I did. No, did I?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I did. Sorry. This is from the planning board, dated October 10th. At the scheduled meeting held on Wednesday, October 9th, the Middleton Planning Board reviewed the application for Matthew and Natalia Chiradonna for the property located at 303 North Main Street for a site plan modification approval to allow the existing site plan to be modified to allow 301 and 303 North Main Street to be combined to form one lot. The board members voted unanimously to recommend approval of the proposed site plan modification to the zoning board.
Any board members have any other questions? We have a motion?
Well, we have three things, right?
What do
We
we
have a
have?
site plan approval, we have two special permits.
Yes, we have a site plan approval and two special permits, yep.
Matter what order, Katrina, this goes in?
No, not really.
I don't think it does.
Scott, were the grassed areas that you were talking about earlier, are they shown on the plan?
They're on the new plan.
So they don't need to add it as a condition?
They can, that it be grass, because it's actually not spelled out. Jill mentioned it's gonna be grass, but it's not spelled out on the plan that it's grass.
Okay.
And that's the area,
It's not spelled out on the plan, though, that was submitted to us.
Okay, which revision did you have, Scott?
you just got new, oh, you saw the new plans.
October 10th,
Okay. Which plan is that you have in front of you? 6 of 6?
4 of 6.
Oh, look on 6 of 6.
I don't have it, wasn't submitted
Don't
to me.
have it. I'll make sure you have it.
So,
Wait, I've got it here.
I can't review something if I don't have it.
That would be impossible, I agree.
Yeah. So,
I was the one who only gave you the one page. Christine has the
so
full set.
basically, what
That's
we would
my
be
fault.
looking for is that the grass, what's not labeled as grass, be grass.
Right
That the
there,
sheds
Katrina.
that were moved in violation of zoning be moved back per the approved plan.
Wait, sheds move back,
Yep,
okay.
Somewhere in there?
per the
Right
approved
there.
plan.
I apologize,
I
that's
can't
my
even-
fault, Mr.
I can't
Fitzpatrick.
read it.
Yeah,
That one
anything
is,
else?
that's the plan I should have sent you.
Anything else, Scott?
In that they receive conservation approval.
Yes.
Okay. All right, I'll make a motion on site plan approval for modification of the 2018 decision pursuant to 9.5 to allow the combination of the properties at 301 North Main Street, 303, for the purpose of creating a single location for the contracting business, and to allow the expansion and modification of the outdoor storage yard as evidenced by, do we have to go through the
Determination.
determination thing, yeah? Okay. The modifications reflected on the site plan are the combination of the two properties to form that legally existing lot. And the conversion of all the structures thereon to a contractor's office and storage yard represent an advantageous use of the property and take into consideration the legitimate interests of the adjoining property owners, will not negatively affect public safety, health, welfare. In addition, any adverse effects resulting from the use of the combined properties will not outweigh the beneficial impacts to the neighborhood. The petitioner complied with the submittal and requirements of 9.4 and 9.5. site plan approval. The combined properties comply with dimensional and density requirements applicable to these structures in the M1 district and watershed district overlay, as well as parking and loading requirements for use. Site plan which amends 2018 incorporates a design that ensures safe flow of traffic, pedestrian travel within the combined properties. It shows parking and loading areas remain adequate for the combined properties and have been reviewed by the planning board. Did ICDRC look
No.
at this? No,
They
they
didn't.
did not.
Yeah, they did. But Paul actually gave a letter in. I think he dropped it off the ICDRC.
I gave you
Yeah.
We just got, I looked at them and they were all 217. Let me go through them again.
All right, well, we'll
Oh,
move on.
I'm sorry, no. The one letter mentions both of these projects.
Oh, I'm sorry, okay, so that is true.
Yep.
All right, put that back in, ICDRC. All right, that reflects the design that incorporates all the requested site amenities, including landscape design, adequate lighting, signage, screening, surface, subsurface drainage, waste disposal. The use of the combined properties as a contractor's office, garage, and outdoor storage is consonant with the neighborhood character. Development of the combined properties will not negatively impact the natural environment. Combined properties and proposal are in compliance with the requirements of the watershed protection overlay district. The town will receive fiscal benefit from the combined properties, will facilitate the elimination of non-conforming use, create additional office space, increase number of jobs available. The general, the conditions, do we attach conditions at this point, or should we wait
No.
on the other part?
These are just the
Those are just the
determinations.
findings.
Findings, right,
So
so the
findings.
conditions go
Yep.
later.
Yep.
Okay, the motion is made, there's a second.
I'll second.
Motion's made and second, all those in favor vote?
Yep.
Aye.
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 Okay,
Now you can go on to the site plan.
that was the site.
Those were the findings for the site plan.
Site plan, right.
Now you're making the motion to approve.
Right. Okay, so make a motion that we accept the site plan approval with the following conditions. That the grass areas be labeled on the plan, sheds must be moved back per approved plan, and the Concom approval is given, and all modifications are per the building inspector's approval.
Motion made,
What?
second.
What? Go
You
ahead.
need to add the general conditions and all terms and conditions for the
Yeah,
other
sorry,
decision.
that too.
And can you spell out the sheds again? The sheds?
The sheds need to be moved back per the approved plan. That's
Oh,
how
sheds,
you
see where they are now? That they are located in a different location, and Mr. Fitzpatrick saw that, and I just let him know, look, that it's intended to get them approved in this location, so I have to do that
Plan
before he'll
shows
do
the
anything.
correct
Yes, that
location.
shows the correct location, but you have to reflect it because it does, you don't know whether they're new plan sheds or whatever. I understand.
You'll-
See, take them.
For you.
Oh, cool.
Okay, anything else? Katrina? That's enough?
And you got the general conditions?
Right, general conditions, yeah,
Yeah.
okay. Second?
Yep, second.
I'll second it.
Motion's made, seconded, all those in favor vote?
Yep.
Aye.
Aye.
Yes.
Can't,
I can't vote.
nope.
Not right now.
Make a motion for the special permit under section 9.4 pursuant to 3.3.2, authorizing the alteration of the existing non-conforming single-family house to accommodate the use of the property as a commercial office.
Oh,
Made and second,
second.
there's a second. Motion's made and second, all those in favor vote?
Aye.
Yes.
Aye.
And then there's that first special permit too. Ms. Cody, the one under 312.
312 comes next, yeah.
Oh, I apologize, okay.
So,
Go ahead, say it.
yeah, so at the, right under issuance of the special
Yep, I
permits?
see it, yep.
Okay.
Okay. So, make a motion to accept the special permit under 9.4 pursuant to 3.1.2 in the table of use regulations, i.e. commercial contracting business and outdoor storage yard, to allow the office to be used as a contracting business and outdoor storage yard. Yeah. Yeah,
I'll
that's
second it. I
fine,
just wanna
yep.
make sure it's there. Yep,
There a
everything's there.
second?
Yep, I second.
Motion's made and second. All those in favor, vote.
Yep.
Aye.
Thank you very much, appreciate your time.
So, it's done.
It's just, it's not clear. It's never clear.
Sidewalk.
I can't do that. I can't think like that, like on the.
I can't either.
I
Better wing it, major.
I always found it sound like I'm conditioned to try to wing it.
Oh,
I am,
he's gotta
yeah.
make sure that it's
I just-
approved. He doesn't.
The use table, what? Perfect here.
Said Meyer, I said no.
What use? No, that's not clear.
But we did condition it.
Well,
Make sure it's got it.
which use? I don't want to see any more stomping and screaming.
Watch it and then let me know what you think.
Counselor, do you need a recess, or?
Just a beer.
Do we need a recess, or what?
No. Oh, no, I was just giving her
Oh,
something.
we're waiting to go on with the hearing. We have another hearing coming
Go
up.
ahead, I apologize.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is 217 Rear South Main Street, permit number 1083.
Zoning Board of Appeals will hold a public hearing October 24th at Fuller Meadow on the following petition on the application of Richardson Green for a special permit and site plan approval under section 9.5 and 9.4 to construct,
We haven't done that yet.
sorry, lost my, construct a 56,750 square foot building, single building in the business zone and to allow contracting, landscaping, equipment storage on the property located at 217 Rear South Main Street, found on Assessor's Map 33, Parcel 33. The abutters have been notified. There's a bunch of letters.
Okay, we'll hold the
Want to hold
correspondence.
those?
Yep.
Okay.
When you're ready, Counsel.
Oh, I thought you were reading the letters.
No,
No.
we'll do it after you do your thing.
We're gonna let you make your presentation, then we're gonna read the letters.
Jill Mann here on behalf of Richardson Green, Inc., the owner and applicant in connection with the permit for site plan approval and for a special permit to allow contractor offices and, I guess, indoor storage with regard to this particular location. The property is located on South Main Street. It is accessed over a common driveway that is from 217, about South Main Street. I think everybody knows where it is, right? This is adjacent to the property you were just speaking about with Mr. Kelly, and the entrance point is literally called Runlet Way. The particular property has an excess of 7.4 acres and is deemed to be an industrial park. The property is proposed to be developed for about a 56,000 square foot building with up to 12 contractor bays. We really don't know how many bays there'll be. We estimate that that could be the number of bays that it will be. The applicant is proposing to actually install a 30-foot right-of-way. So when you see this particular property, the existing Runlet Way is somewhere, I mean, it varies greatly in length and is not the best of condition with regard to having traffic go in and out. Although I think that Mr. Kelly did pave some of it when he had gone and had access for Starbucks over the way. But it does exist mostly on his property. It comes in from Runlet Way, it comes in over the Richardson property, then cuts down, and then goes along a 20-foot easement that Mr. Kelly and Mr. Thornton maintain. The Richardsons are proposing to actually create a lot of green space. It to the rear is just an aerial depiction. It's hard to see because of the lights, but it's an aerial depiction of the property with the site superimposed, just so you can see where the abutters are. And it is shown also here. I don't know how well the board can see it, or even the abutters can see it, but can you see that at all? I mean, I have a hard time seeing far away now. So basically, we're just showing you the site itself, the access points. The property can be circumnavigated completely. We did go and have a meeting before the DRG, the Department Review Group, and there were some comments that came out of it. For example, Chief Martinuck asked us to locate a hydrant, and I did have an email conversation with him so that we could refine really where he wanted the hydrant. And while he said, listen, we're gonna wait to see exactly where you put your sprinkler room, we know our sprinkler room is gonna be around this area, so he agrees that it should be located in this island. But he would prefer us to continue and figure that out. In addition to that comment, we did also receive some comments. Mel just wants us to give them a plan ahead of time. You know, the Board of Health actually asked us about noise and volumes, et cetera. And, I mean, this particular property, I think the board's probably gonna wanna do a site walk. It's very, very difficult to assess this property without seeing it. Because you think to yourself, okay, I can picture Mr. Fortin's property because we did a site walk there. I can picture Mr. Kelly's property because we did a site walk. Oh, that's beautiful, Katrina. That's 100 times better. We did a site walk there, but it's hard to even remember what with the Richardson properties looked like. And by the way, here with me this evening is the Richardson family, the owners of Richardson Green, as well as Mike Laham, who is the principal engineer from Cameron Moran, who is responsible for doing the site plans. We did include in your package the architectural plans, but again, I think it's pretty important for you to see the site. There is a tremendous grade change. For example, I think that the top level grade where you see the buildings on the, that's actually north, so you see them to the north, that grade change is probably somewhere, what is that, where you hit Citra's property, 40, 50 feet? Grade change?
About 100 feet to 40 feet.
Yeah, so in the very back of the property, where the property has like an arm, and then you see, where's that? I had it 2 seconds ago and I put it down. Okay, oh, there it is, thank you. Yep, oh, I know how. So basically, in this area, there's about a 60-something foot grade change minimum, right? And then going along here is about a 40, 50-foot grade change. That's why I would really like the board to see it. I thought that perhaps it would be a good idea, and I defer to you, Mr. Nazaro, as to how you want to handle it, but I thought just kind of giving you the presentation and an overview, and then...
I think the board would be interested in the site walk. We haven't polled the board yet, but I think that that's the feeling.
I can't imagine.
You're welcome to make whatever presentation you want, of course, but
And I didn't want to
I think we may be back with this.
Right, I didn't want to overburden you with too much of a presentation, but I did want to show you, because I do want to also show you what we will stake out is the actual access point. Because there's always these protestations, oh, can it really handle this kind of volume? To give you a point of reference, which I always think is helpful, 114 is about 40 feet wide, 45 feet wide, and that has the turning center lane and very large travel lanes, deceleration lanes, etc. Boston Street is 22 feet wide. Maple Street ranges from 22, there's maybe like one big point where it goes to 27, but that's how wide they are. This particular way is going to be 30 feet. So it's a large way that can accommodate traffic, and it was intended to do so. However, there is the desire to maintain a decent amount of landscaping, because the Richardsons find that it's important for when you drive by the site and when you enter the site, that the first thing you see is not necessarily, pavement and building, but more landscaping, trees, and some greenery, and that's what's done. And I did want to show you there, the building perspective, because, again, people are saying, oh, an industrial building, it's a beautiful building. So this is, I can't, it's so hard to show everybody. I can't show everybody. But this is the perspective. So the column in the round structure in front is actually a pretty, oh, there you go. It's a pretty glassed atrium, and then going down in the sides, you can see how it's a really wonderful looking building. Going down the sides, there will be overhead doors, and you can see them going down, but again, they're fairly well landscaped, and the front approach, what you will see, will be well designed and will actually have some dimension to it. The proposal is to potentially use some of the front portions, which you can see, because you can see how the entrance is. Maybe use some of the front portions to the extent possible for, you know, a type of, if you will, retail office. So a retail office is, you know, an insurance company, a real estate office. Those I call retail office because they invite the public in. It's not just sitting there doing your work like some lawyers will do, or architects will do, or engineers will do. You literally invite the public in, and they come in a lot. That's what I'm trying to say with regard to that. We have, one of the questions that was also raised is, you know, do you have sufficient septic? And we do. We built it out in a fashion that can actually accommodate more than just an industrial use, but it's not built out to, you know, put in a huge restaurant. I mean, you can't do that here. So that's one of the things. In addition to that, we were asked, you know, to put in sidewalks throughout the property, and what we really have done is we've put the sidewalks against the building. We'd like people to come in, drive in, and then access the sidewalks we have on site. We have received a comment from, can you go back, would you mind, to the site plan? We did get a comment from Mr. Fullerton, the Board of Health inspector, and asked us if we would consider connecting the sidewalks. So, you know, sometimes there've been issues potentially in this area where people aren't respectful when they're exiting the properties, of the fact that when they exit, they actually need to be mindful of the passing, you know, bicycle traffic as well as vehicular traffic. So we've been asked to actually just paint across and put a sidewalk, not a sidewalk, but a crosswalk that's painted, so that when the traveling public comes, they see it. So we are proposing to paint one across so that people know, here's the sidewalk, be mindful. In addition to that, when we met with the DRG, what we had agreed to do is extend this, extend our, if you will, can you go back to the picture again, the pretty one, the overhead, the aerial? We were asked to include some signage, and that was also something that was asked of us by the planning board. Look, you know, can you do some signage on the site, because you hadn't put any on as far as that initial plan went? And we did put a couple of signs on, and then we also did actually the overhead, the aerial, where it was superimposed. I apologize, wasn't too descriptive. So here it is. So what we had done was we expanded this island a bit so that we would accommodate a better turn in, and then we also put in signs in this island that basically tell traffic here, coming out of the property, to stop. And then we have traffic here with a yield sign, so that when Airtight exits its property, that it yields. It basically just doesn't fly up thinking, okay, I have the right of way. At least if you put a yield sign, people know, slow down and pay attention, and that's why we put it there. And then when truck traffic does come in, which will not be that frequent, this is not, you know, this is not a freight trunk company. You'll have traffic entering, and they only enter into this site. That's where the trucks are all going to be directed through, and that's how the site will work. And then when trucks exit, they exit in that fashion. What else can I tell you? I mean, I can go through the site plan criteria, but I think sometimes it's almost better, Mr. Nazaro, if you have the site walk and then I get comments, and then if I have to make some changes, I can. But suffice it to say that we meet every one of the dimensional requirements, that this particular project is permitted by right. The only use that even requires a special permit is if a landscaping or a contractor company were to come in and store goods, so it's not just a plain business office, but it's actually has interior storage, then it would require a special permit. But light industrial uses are permitted by right here, any type. That's what the bylaw says. And I actually, that's when I apologize for having been rude, but that's what I had on that little thumb drive, was just a litany of the uses that are permitted, and just showing you that this particular site has a permit by right, and that's what those uses are for this.
Trying to remember when we did this before, Rundle Way is a private way.
So, yeah, good point, Mr. Nazaro. Thank you for bringing it up, because I should go through it. So back in 2018, Mr. Thornton, Mr. Kelly, and Mr. and I should say Richardson Green, because it was all the principals, got together, got together and actually entered into an easement plan. And actually, Ms. O'Leary has it behind you. So what the agreement was is, listen, as of present time, the area in pink, that belongs to Richardson Green. In 2017, neither Airtight nor Mr. Kelly had the right to traverse that pink area. Notwithstanding that, they had been doing so for a very long time. They had been using that property. And Mr. Richardson wanted to memorialize the fact that, look, you know what, we're going to give you the right to use a portion of our land. When we do the entrance point, we will develop, cross-develop. It's called reciprocal easements. So we did this reciprocal agreement. And what was given pursuant to the agreement is the area in pink is the area being contributed by Richardson. So Richardson said, listen, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to construct a legitimate road. I'm going to make a 30-foot wide road. I'm going to make it nice. I'm going to landscape it, and it's going to be suitable for traffic. And it's not going to have potholes and not be it will comply with stormwater management, which never has been the case in that area before. So in consideration for that, Mr. Kelly contributed a portion of his land, which is the blue. And then the Richardson Green actually contributed additional area, and that would be the green strip. So Richardson's easement that Mr. Thornton, Mr. Kelly could use would be the pink and the green. And the area of Mr. Kelly's property that was already an easement to Airtight. So Airtight basically, for lack of a better term, had possessory rights or using rights over that blue area. So now all of that area would be combined and will form Rundlet Way. That was a lot, right?
Yes, thank you.
I apologize, but I think it's, you know what, it was good. I'm glad that you asked, because truly that easement has been such an area of contest. Remember how many times we've had problems and issues, and I even most recently where there was an issue about the parking spaces, and you know, now we have it, and this is the travel path. And the other portion that is important to know is the existing path as it travels now. As it is now traveled, as everybody has been permitted, Mr. Thornton, Mr. Kelly, they only use and are entitled to use, they only use, because that's where it's paved, the blue area and the pink area. That's it. So that was always what it was.
On your diagram, you're showing loading docks on the buildings, so should we anticipate that there would be tractor trailers going in and out of there?
Oh, yeah, there will be some. You know, maybe there'll be a shipment, not necessarily tractor trailers. So anytime you have any kind of a building with overhead doors or anything where you potentially could have industrial uses, you need to be able to show a loading dock, plain and simple. And that's why we do. We don't know who will be there. Is there that much frequent, tractor trailer traffic? No. I mean, there will be. I mean, there'll be mostly box truck traffic, but that's why it's a 30-foot access point on a main highway that probably has 10,000 trucks going by it a day. This particular road it's absolutely suitable for it, and is wide enough to handle it all. I think that actually it was Ms. McPherson who was kind of concerned about some of the Starbucks aspect of it and felt more comfortable because Rundlet Way is such a broad way that once developed by Richardson Green, it's essentially a street that has better access than Maple Street and Boston Street and quite potentially portions of 114 as well. So I go back to your question, will it have tractor trailer traffic? Sure, some. Will it have, heavy tractor trailer traffic? No. What was contemplated when the town said this is a by right use would probably be what it is, a few a day, if that.
So I assume you're gonna level out that site? Oof. You're gonna level it out, right? So toward the back there, I guess toward the left, how high is that back wall gonna, is it a wall that's gonna be there?
You're gonna cut ledge.
How high is that gonna be?
Yeah, so Mr. Laham's going to address it. He'll give you the differences in grades too. You just need to introduce yourself.
Okay, so you're gonna come up to the microphone and introduce yourself so you're on the record, please.
And then come back, or stay there.
Yeah,
If you could pull up the
We
grid.
can hear you from there, you can just introduce yourself.
Sure. My name is Mike Laham, professional engineer with the Moore and Cameron Group, based at 66 Elm Street in Danvers. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So the question was regarding the grade differential here on the property. So in this part of the property, kind of you can see this, everyone can probably see it, this dark gray line coming around here. That represents a ledge cut, so kind of a near vertical ledge
So here
cut
for
like you
them,
see.
I'll show you. So for the people sitting back
Oh,
here
right.
who can't see, it's that.
So what you kind of see on the side of highway is kind of your typical ledge cut, right? It'll be, over in this area, it will match the grade and then steadily rises. So it's at this point here, so like midway on the building, you've got about a 30-foot differential, elevation 38 to 68, 70, so you have about 30 feet here. And then as the grade rises up in this direction, it does get up to, at this point, you have 83 at the top of the ledge cut to a 42, so you have a 40-foot ledge cut here. And then these contours here also represent a slope, just an earthen slope at the top of the ledge cut. And there's actually a small cross-section, the bottom left of the grading and drainage plan here, that'll show that. And yeah, there it is, if you scroll to the bottom left there. Keep going down. So right in here, so here's, you can kind of see the ledge cut here. We'll have a fence at the top of the ledge cut, of course, for safety, and then we're talking about another fence which will be at the top of that earthen slope, which is roughly along the property line here. And then as it wraps around here, it's no longer along the property line, but it's kind of just a point where the grade ties in to the grade up here. And again, there'll be a fence along the top of that slope and then along top of that ledge cut. So you're looking at a range of, I would say, 30 to, or a 30-foot total grade change here. And then here, ledge cut is about 40 feet, but the grade change is 60 feet. So you've got a
highest wall
60-foot grade change when you
Will be
account.
60 feet. The highest wall will be 60 feet.
The ledge cut itself, no, you look at this way. Ledge cut itself in this area is 40 feet, and then you have a 20-foot earth slope. So the total grade change is 60, but the ledge cut is 40, and then it will slope up another 20 feet. A 60-foot grade change.
It's pretty high, isn't it?
But you definitely need to see it, you know.
Yeah.
So what kind of fencing is protecting people from going 40 feet down?
So we'd have a.
Two sets.
Yeah, two sets. Again, one along the property line, and that would be more for the abutting properties, kind of just protecting the top of the slope. And then here, it would be something that would be drilled in, into the ledge, and, we haven't determined the exact type, but I would think a 6-foot chain link at least.
Yeah, along here, it'll be chain link because it's more secure. And then at the top, we'll probably put in some sort of, we're toying with all different kinds of fencing. When we see it, you'll be able to tell because at the present time, I can't remember his name, is it Burke? Mr. Burke already has a fence, so we probably would do something to mimic it along this area. This is Mr. Citro's property. It already has like a lot of trees, so I'm not sure if we'd put up, if you prefer a fence, if you prefer, we'll probably talk to Mr. Citro. We have had a conversation, I think, I don't think Mr. Citro's not here, but we have, I think Mr. Richardson's, all three of them have met with Mr. Citro, and we're gonna work with them what they would prefer. So Mr. Burke already has one, but this, Ms. Cody, this is where we'll have that drilled into the ground chain link fence.
Is that fence gonna close off the road at the end there?
No, the road, there is no road up here at all.
No, I
You mean
don't
down
think, but
here?
where you're coming in.
Oh, yes, no, not at all. So
Because
when,
there's property up and back, right?
yes, so there is property up here. It will not, but there is no road. There will be nothing cutting
Fence isn't
off
gonna block
right
that
here,
off,
no.
no.
So
That's,
is
so
that-
that's this is Mr. Thornton's property.
Who's behind, who's to the left? Whose
Mr.
property?
Richardson, the Richardson pastures are behind. They own portions of this, but then it's the Richardson. Katrina, do you have like one of the overheads to show because it'd be nice for them to see all of the, like, abutting owners. So what we have,
I only, you know what, I replaced the one I usually do with yours because
oh darn.
it was so
Aerial.
nice.
I have another aerial, okay, well, I mean, you can, this is, you can see it pretty much, I'm gonna come closer because I can't. So basically, this is Mr. Citro's property. Wait a second, I'm back, yeah, this is Mr. Citro's property. This is where, this is open yard. This is Mr. Burke's property. And then back here are, I think, I don't know, Oak and all the other, I almost blinded you.
I can grab the GIS map if you
Could
give me
you?
a second.
It would be helpful, I think, for them to see that.
It's gonna take a second.
But, and then in this direction, Ms. Cody, it's all Richardson pastures. But once, we'll have that up for you in just a moment. But, so anyhow, right here is, oh, you have it? You did it?
Please.
Oh, no.
Sure.
And then along here is where, like we said, we're gonna be working with Mr. Citro to put in the proper type of fencing. And in this area, I think that we'll put in some sort of fencing to the extent there's grade differential. I don't know what the complete grade differential is. There are some parts where there is one and some parts where there isn't. And we just blend with the area around us. Am I right, Mike?
That's actually what they do.
Yeah. Because we are creating a level plan, a level plane for the building itself.
So here's the barn.
Here we go, okay. Is it possible to blow it up a bit? So this is Mr. Kelly's property, this is Mr. Fortin's property, this is Richardson's property, and this is Richardson's pastures. This is Mr., isn't this Mr. Burke right here? Yeah. Yes. That's Mr. Burke, and this is, I don't know who that is.
If I can get closer or further away.
Closer would be helpful. There you go. Yeah, okay, now I can see it much better. So that's Mr. Citro's, this is Mr. Burke. The distance from our building to Mr. Burke's, so from our building to Mr. Burke's property line is 150 feet. From our building to Mr. Burke's property is, what, almost 300 feet? And then from our building to Mr. Citro's property line, not buildings, we always try to go to property line. So from this building to the property line is 100 feet. Here to here, it shows better. So that's like the general area. So these are our direct abutters. Can you zoom in? I don't know what these streets are. I just wanted to see them, if you wouldn't mind, Katrina.
That's Cedar Avenue, that's.
Oh, I know,
that's
okay.
Paper
Cedar,
Street.
Poplar, Walnut, Oak, okay. I gotcha. Thank you. Okay, I just wanted to make sure, so I'll show you that. Do you have more to add?
That's a great idea.
A little bit.
I think we're all set, thank you.
Thank you.
No, thank you.
All right, we've got a couple letters. This is from the ICDRC. They met with Attorney Jill Mann, this is dated October 10th. Met with Attorney Mann representing two petitioners, 303 North Main, for 303 North Main Street in Richardson Green, for 217 Rear South Main Street, to discuss the project site plans. The committee, not having any concerns or questions, voted to approve. This is from Derek Fullerton, who's the Board of Health Director. Let's see, the proposed rooftop elevation is approximately elevation 72. The abutting residential and business properties are all at similar elevations to the rooftop elevation of the proposed building, therefore proper sound attenuation of the HVAC and other noise-generating equipment should be considered to prevent noise nuance during all hours, especially during nighttime hours. For example, a similar noise attenuation was installed on top of Palmating School for equipment to prevent horizontal noise travel to similar elevation houses for abutting Park Street residences. The Health Department, not limited to, receives noise complaint filings in relations to Mass DEP noise policy from time to time. Most noise complaints filed relate to commercial industrial business facilities that abut residential areas. Many times use by right through zoning is proposed by proponents to supersede proper prevention efforts to reduce noise pollution and nuisances from proposed land uses. Prevention efforts such as, but not limited to, times of operation, in particular external and internal uses, help protect the noise, nuance, and pollution to abutting residential properties and other properties. Additional efforts such as establishing operational times and guidelines for engine idling times, delivery times, equipment use, forklifts, etc. Are some of the things that should be considered. I hope the Board of Appeals will consider some of these efforts in the review of the project. The Health Department continues to support connectivity in the community by making a safer and walkable community. Pedestrian safety on the proposed corridor should be considered. A crosswalk from the proposed site to the other side of the right-of-way where retail and offices, sites such as Starbucks and Solbean exist, and a possible pedestrian strip, paint line, or sidewalk along the road will allow public and business workers and patrons to access both sites in both directions should be provided. This is from the Concom, dated October 21st. Currently, the town staff performs stormwater review for projects under the town's stormwater management bylaw and the Mass Stormwater Standards. While the existing staff has capacity to form standard reviews, larger projects such as this require professional stormwater review due to their size and complexity. As such, it's my recommendation is that the ZBA hire a professional engineer to review the stormwater management proposed to the property. That's from Kristen Kent. This is dated October 10th from the Planning Board. At the scheduled meeting held on Wednesday, October 9th, the Middleton Planning Board reviewed the application from Richardson Green. They voted unanimously to recommend approval of the proposed development to the Zoning Board of Appeals and asked the board to carefully review the vehicular traffic circulation on Runlet Way, require the applicant to install appropriate signage, consider requiring improvements to increase pedestrian safety for those that work at the facilities on Runlet Way. Pedestrian improvements may or may not include sidewalks. This is from the fire chief, dated October 10th. As discussed at the IC Industrial Review Committee meeting, a hydrant will be needed on the property by the fire department connection, and the address will need to be finalized before construction. This is from Bay State Kennel and Training Center, located at 9 Forms Way, dated October 10th. I am in receipt of your notice of the hearing on October 24th. However, due to a scheduled conflict, I'll be out of town and unable to attend. So in lieu of attending that hearing, I'm writing my concerns regarding the above-named property. My concerns are strictly with the blasting process. As you are aware, at any time, I have up to 25 dogs housed at the kennel. Dogs and most animals for that matter are keenly aware of ground shift. We are concerned that the dogs may get stressed. In Bayside Kennel, we pride ourselves in a very strong obligation to keep our dogs safe and as stress-free as possible every day in our care. We are requesting the following conditions: that the blasting contractor use less charge than allowed under the Mass Commonwealth regulations to keep vibration and ground shift less impacted on the dogs, that the blasting not exceed more than 10 days for the project, and that we're given notice via telephone prior to actual blast so we can move the dogs inside. I'm not opposed to the development of this site, would just like to have some cooperation and consideration for not only the animals but our homes during the blasting and construction process. As you are well aware of how close the kennel is to the blasting site, I would appreciate your approving our requests, and that's from the owner of the training facility. This is from the Georgetown Plaza Trust. We are the owners of Fox Run Plaza at 313 Runlet Way, also known as 215 South Main Street, which directly abuts the new project proposed by Richardson Green for Stone Ridge at 217 South Main Street. We have met and spoke with the Richardson family several times on this project and are familiar with the site plan. We wish to express our full support for this project. This is from the Planning Department regarding the complete streets policy. How much of this do we need to read?
Just the first page.
Just, it's 5 pages long.
We'll be here all day. It's fine.
I'm sure you are.
Page.
Dated October 17th, Middleton adopted a complete streets policy in 2014. The goal of this policy is to encourage the incorporation of complete street principles to accommodate all road users by creating a roadway network that meets the needs of individuals utilizing a variety of transportation modes. Since it is a Board of Selectmen adopted policy, it's fair to say that all departments that work under the Board of Selectmen should abide by this policy when making decisions and performing duties. The policy states that complete streets design recommendations shall be incorporated into all public and privately funded projects as appropriate. Private developments and related roadway design components should adhere to complete street principles. That being said, I encourage the incorporation of pedestrian walkways within the proposed development to provide safe pedestrian and bicycles access between the proposed development, South Main Street, and the abutters property. As the development review group meeting and the planning board meeting, the applicant stated they did not want sidewalks within the site because they wanted to discourage pedestrian traffic, even if the only thing allowed in this development was industrial uses. It would still be helpful to provide pedestrian amenities on site so pedestrians are not sharing the roadways with large trucks. However, because commercial uses, including restaurants, are an allowed use in the front part of the building, it's extra important to ensure pedestrian safety within this development. It's not only prudent to provide safe pedestrian circulation within the site, but also one of the required findings for approving site plans under section 9.5.11.2, convenience and safety of vehicular and pedestrian movements on site, and the policies attached to that. No. Do you want me to read Warren Kelly? Warren Kelly's letter?
Yeah.
I think that if he's in the audience, there's not a need to actually read this. Is that possible? I mean, it doesn't make sense to me.
No, he's here. He's right there.
That's what I mean. Is it
still here?
possible?
Warren, do you want me to
Oh, I
read this
see him
letter or
there.
not?
Submitted the
Both of
letter.
us are butters, I don't, it's up your call.
No, it's not. Do you want this letter read or not?
What's on the record, yes.
You want it in the record? Okay.
Okay.
This is dated 10/22 to the board members. This is from Warren Kelly and Jim Fortin, his manager. We've reviewed Richardson Green's proposed plans to develop a front-lit way in detail. As abutters, we have concerns in regard to traffic, pedestrian safety, as well as the violation of our mutually agreed-upon easement agreement. Based on the most recent submitted plans, it appears from the plans that Richardson Green intends to relocate easement A onto easement B. The relocation of any portion of easement A off Richardson property violates the access easement grant that was signed by all three properties on February 15th, 2018. The access easement grants to River Street LLC and Runlet LLC perpetual travel access across on easement A, which is the 30-foot paved easement accessing Route 114 as shown on the easement plan. The travel rights to this easement for which Richardson was compensated. Furthermore, we respectfully request that the board review section C of the easement agreement, which grants Richardson the right to relocate easement A but within the Richardson lot. The removing or reducing of easement A within the Richardson lot, thus restricting access to Route 114 by River Street and Runlet LLC on easement A, would be a violation of our easement agreement. We ask that the board require that Richardson Green revise their plan to maintain the easement A travel rights within the Richardson lot for both River Street and Runlet LLC. And that's from Warren Kelly. Then there's a description of it, yeah. That's everything.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else here to speak in favor of this project? Anyone to speak in opposition? Please, get up, sir, and introduce yourself at the microphone.
I'm an
Right
abutter.
over to your left, your right, excuse me.
I'm an abutter on Mr. Burke. And one of the biggest problems is the ledge. Okay, that ledge is huge. I mean, and when you go there, it's actually, I mean, you're looking up a mountain. I've asked, 2 years ago, I asked them what they were doing when they cut all the trees down. They said they don't have to get a permit to cut the trees down. So they dig out this huge, a lot of dirt. We don't know where the dirt is. They got cliffs. They got a fence on the other side that's falling down. There's trees falling down. They didn't maintain the right pitch. The road that goes out to 114, they say there's not going to be any impact on 114. You tell, I can't even go out at 5 o'clock. they have from the center of town, past the Demoulas, backed up. I've seen people go up that middle lane, scoot up the middle lane to go into the bank. I mean, it's, you know, if they say it's not a problem with the road, there's gotta be an impact. You get a big truck, and they're gonna take a left or a right, especially a left, at the business time of the traffic, which they're gonna be coming in. They're gonna be at the end of the day, the business day, and they're gonna be driving in and out of this place. But my main concern is every time they dynamite, there's an impact on the houses. They did it on Oak Avenue. My neighbor, she didn't have water in her house, she has water. My house is connected to that ledge. My garage, when I built the garage, I went down to the ledge. And I started from the ledge. That ledge is part of the ledge they're gonna dynamite, or whatever. They shouldn't even dynamite. They have other ways of doing it. They could drill, have, cement expansion and all this, but it's expensive. The amount of ledge that they gotta take out of there is phenomenal. It's not just a couple pieces of rock. This thing is huge. It's most of the property. They didn't show you that. I bet you they gotta take at least 75% of that piece of property out of there, ledge. That's all I gotta say.
And your house is where again?
Mine is right there at where she was pointing out at that,
Right here, miss, I'll show her.
right there.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else to speak in opposition? Okay,
Oh, over here.
okay. Young lady, please.
Cheryl Holland, 2 Weaver Avenue in Abutter. It's not necessarily opposition, I do have some questions. The first being, what's the highlighted green strip to the left of the screen?
You gotta show me, point to it.
How do I use this
Oh,
thing?
here, this is, don't point to anybody's eyes. You
Okay.
see that button right there? Just
Yeah.
put it down, see? You can make the light.
Can you do it, because I don't want
I
to
don't
hurt
know what you're
anybody.
talking about.
See the green strip, it's a little bright,
This?
yes.
Oh, all right.
What is that?
That's just a portion of the land.
That's the pasture, you know, and it can continue to be just like.
This is being preserved as open space to buffer
So it just,
property.
why is it highlighted? It's just a different
Just part of this
portion.
lot.
It's just part of the park.
Okay, all right. Is there more ledge that's coming down? So what part of the ledge is coming down? The back side of it?
So the
It's
ledge
right
is
in
coming
there.
down right here. Everything from this point, I'm sorry, I'm just
No,
on a
no,
steady
go
hand.
ahead.
That's the ledge line.
The ledge now
Half of
is,
that building is ledge.
so the ledge now is very high. Is it doubling in height?
We're taking it down. It's coming down.
So you're lowering the ledge?
Yes.
The top of the ledge is going to be lowered?
Yeah, so the front of the elevation, the front of the building's kind of at right now, it drives right here.
Okay. And how is that going to be lowered? Because we do feel the impact of any blast or however it's done.
It'll be done by the fire department. Fire department will monitor it, that's who's in charge of blasting, and blast.
So, do you want me to describe the process? I'm doing it right now somewhere so I can. Yeah, so I can, would it be helpful if I explain?
Not really. I just want to
all
know
right.
how it's done and how long it's going to take.
No, we would like to know. You would like to know? Okay. So basically, when you undertake a blasting, you have to get a permit, you have to work with the fire department. The building inspector can attend as well if he would like. You go out and you secure a blasting company, and then there's always an insurance company. Before any blasting takes place, if they think you're close, like Mr. Burke is saying, okay, I'm close, they actually put a seismic detector on the home, so it actually can feel the blast, and they go in and they do a survey. They will videotape homes in close proximity. So, example, I would believe that they probably, if they look at the ledge line. So they'll look at the ledge line, so what they'll do is they'll probably put a seismic detector in this area for Mr. Citro's property, and they will definitely do so. If there's an issue and you think you're on some sort of the same ridge line, they'll put one on. So when they do the blasting, they actually can detect, those detectors actually detect how much movement you have in your property, because people will come back. There's a lot of instances where people say they had damage and they really don't. So the insurance companies have developed this technique to be able to say, okay, here's the video that we took before. here's the seismic, information, and then here's the aftermath. So they'll go out and look at that, and that's, you always carry insurance to cover any damage. In addition, when you blast, you don't go in and, blast and like create this horrific, hole. You do, they shear it. So, when you look at a blast and you look at the side of the road and you see like these cuts and you can see how they come down, they literally peel back the rock so that it's less impactful. So they don't do exactly what Mr. Burke was saying. I don't know if they had an issue when they blasted another place, but that's how they'll do it. They'll shear the rock, shear the rock, shear the rock. So it's not, you're not causing a, if you will, an earthquake. And I think even that Mr. Fitzpatrick may have some experience, but that is how they do it, and that's how we're doing it at another site right now. Before it happens, I know that Mr. Citro and all of the Richardsons had conversations about letting Mike know because of his dogs. Can we do it in 10 days? I doubt it. Unless we're gonna, I don't think so. That seems too much.
Oh, you'd have to put too big a charge.
Yeah, and we're not gonna do that. We're not gonna risk any things to try and compact it into a 10-day time period. We just won't do that. There'll be certain times, the fire department limits when you can actually do it, and you set off a tone. It sounds like a foghorn, for lack of, isn't it sound like a foghorn? Sounds like a foghorn, and they give you a preparation for it. They blast, and they blast again, and then I think like either the second or the third time, they actually set the charge. So that's the process, Ms. Cody. And again, it's heavily regulated. The fire department is always on site, and there's full insurance covering everything.
Does that answer your question, ma'am?
It wasn't one of my questions. One of my questions is what, the ledge is already cut, and you're building the building on the land as it stands now?
No, it would be taken with the ledge out.
Like, what is the purpose of removing the ledge?
To be,
It's in the way.
You don't have no land.
well, we have lots of
So where
land
the
that just
ledge
has ledge.
stands, you're gonna move it back?
So,
Or
okay.
you're just moving it down?
You literally take it out. So it's like, when you go to a property and you have to build a foundation, so you have to dig dirt out, think of it the same way. We're digging out the ledge. We're coming in, we're gonna shear it off, and we're gonna remove it off-site, and we're going to use it for other things. We'll use it at other properties in town, and if we need an
But so
export
the
permit,
ledge
we'll
side of the property, how does it get level to the pasture?
It doesn't,
I mean,
okay,
it's a
that's why you're
huge
confused.
drop.
It isn't getting level to the pasture, you're leveling it to 114. This way is where the level comes. This pasture will continue to be elevated. So this dark green is the highest point, this light green is the next highest point, and this gray is the level that the building will sit on and that people will drive on. That will be the level of the industrial park. This industrial park will be depressed within the property. So the ledge gets basically removed off-site, in the site, its elevation goes down.
Okay, once the ledge is removed, what holds it, what retains it?
Okay, ledge is pretty secure, so you actually have to do testing. So you go out and you have all these, you have certain people who actually examine stone and examine soil to ensure that the quality of the ledge can hold it back. So it literally.
I mean, is there gonna be walls or anything?
Yes,
It's like
it'll
the
be a
ledge on-
sheer.
It's like the
it'll-
ledge on the highway. Nothing holds it
It's a
back.
sheer wall
Okay.
that is the ledge. And what they do is they put fencing around the top so that nobody can come to the, no kids can fool around and come to the edges of.
Okay.
and fall.
All right, let's get back to, you said they do the seismic measurement.
Yep.
Okay, taking a measurement of my house before and taking it
No,
afterwards?
they leave the detector on during the duration of blasting. It is a box.
Okay, please, let me ask the question.
Okay.
If you take a measurement and it reads the gauge is 2, and after the blasting, the gauge is 4, that doesn't tell you what has happened to my house. It just tells you how much of a shift in the land has happened. How do you determine what has happened, if anything, to
That's
the
how I
property
answered.
values?
You should have, when I did explain this. You put the seismic detector on to validate.
But that doesn't say that there's
Let
a
me- can
crack
I
in my
finish? I'm
foundation.
gonna- If you let me finish, I'll tell you. I told you, they go out and they do what they call a pre-survey. So they literally take a video camera, remember I said it, they video camera your site. They don't just do the outside, they come inside. They do your entire foundation, they do your entire inside, it's the video cam, and they maintain it for records because the insurance company is liable if they don't document your
Okay.
precondition.
Okay.
Then you have that is your initial testimony, basically. Then they have the seismic detector. That indicates what the event has been. And you can tell the event, the shaking of the home, what type of movement the earth had. That's what the seismic detector says. Then you say, hey, you caused my roof to split. They come out to your site, they investigate. If you had absolutely no seismic detection, there was no visible movement of your property, your house settled. It wasn't our fault. That's what the insurance company does. That's why they have pre, during, post.
And if something has happened,
It's fully insured. You don't have to even talk to the Richardsons. The insurance claim is immediately filed, the insurance company pays. That's what the blasting company does. It is a fully insured
Okay.
property. You can't underinsure, they're fully insured.
okay, all right. I'm also concerned, I thought it was going to be for landscape vehicles to be stored. I thought that's what the permit was asking
No,
for.
we're asking for,
Okay, so we're asking for a general permit because honestly, we didn't want to have to come back for a permit because sometimes we can lose tenants. We have absolutely nobody right now who's a landscaper who's interested. They might be, but we don't have any outdoor storage, so my guess is they probably won't really want to be here. If anything, it'll be, people who have office uses or people who want to operate small facilities within the.
But it's built and set up for storage of landscaping vehicles?
No, it's not at all. It's set up for any kind of industrial use at all. It has no particular
But
quality.
does it have the big doors that roll up?
Yes.
Like when I heard that it was gonna
Yes,
be
yes,
for
one on the
landscape
front.
storage, I thought you were gonna bring in maybe, those that carry their driving lawnmowers, or their bobcats, or their, whatever they use, their graders. That's not the purpose?
That's not what we're looking for, no.
Okay. But you're not gonna use it, you're hoping to lease it
We
out?
have other buildings like this that we lease out.
Seem to be losing track
That's
of
my
where the board
apologize.
fits in here, ma'am. You're carrying on a
I just
private
wanna know what the use of the
conversation.
building is intention.
But once the building is approved, there's no dictating, the town, or the board cannot dictate to the owner what he uses the building for. He
Okay.
may originally say that he was gonna have landscaping in there, and then once the building is built, the whole theme could change, and somebody else comes in and rents the property for a different purpose whatsoever.
Okay.
So for you to say to them that we're building a building and you're gonna have landscaping in there, that's not a legitimate position. Whatever the building, once it's approved and it's built, the owner can use it for pretty much anything that's listed within the clauses of the permits.
So can I ask, is it able to store like a Bobcat or
Oh,
construction
it
type
could, yes.
vehicles?
It could, but that
It
doesn't
could?
necessarily mean that's what they're gonna use it for.
Okay,
He's saying that's not what he wants, so.
yeah, but he can't control, he don't,
Oh, yeah, he
wouldn't
rents
know
it.
who's coming
He
in.
rents it
he
out.
can.
Sure he can.
Yeah,
He rents
you-
it out.
Can the hours of operation be controlled? Because as a close abutter, we hear the 4 o'clock dumpster exchange at Walgreens, we hear it at, the Starbucks building. Can you control the hours of the use of the tenants when they are in there?
Mm-hmm.
The board is in a position to put conditions on the permit
Okay.
when it's issued, yes.
Okay,
I will point out that the only use you are able to condition relative to hours would be any kind of landscaper in a site plan, a special permit, because this is a permit by right without the ability to limit hours, because within the entire town, we have never done that. But again, I would say to the abutters, there is no outdoor use. There's none. And if they get a manufacturer, they have to allow 24-hour. Salem Metals uses its building 24 hours a day. Any robotics industry would use it 24 hours a day to limit
Yeah, it's
an industrial
commercially
use.
zoned and.
Exactly. And again, we understand reasonable limitations, and we're trying to be good neighbors. The Richardsons have been here since, since the dirt was here. They've been here forever.
How long?
Oh, forever. Oh, look how old he is. No, I'm kidding. So, sorry. I would say a child bride, though, Susan. Child bride.
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
Yeah, I know. Whoop.
Your attorney.
I know, right? So, they want to be good neighbors, and
I know they
they're
do,
trying
yeah.
to be so.
I think the other thing to remember.
Anything else, ma'am?
I just have one final question. Is it able that you could store fertilizer there?
Okay, I can actually answer that because I've had use that does that. Fertilizer is an exceptionally difficult material to store because you have to have proper ventilation, because believe it or not, it exhausts, if you will, methane. So when I've had a storage facility, we had to have like certain gaps. That's not what this building's for. It's airtight. You can't, to store fertilizer is very difficult. So
But could it be done here?
again, not without tremendous modifications to the building.
So probably no, is what she's
I
saying.
mean, tremendous modifications. You have to have it, you have to have, like, the roof has to be 6 inches separation so that it's open all around.
For the ventilation, yeah.
Then that's, if you can see, the building is not built like that.
All right, ma'am.
Reschedule site plan.
Thank you. I think the board is interested in a site.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, okay, I thought you were together. I'm sorry, sir.
We are, but I'll speak separately. Stan Holland, also 2 Weaver Avenue. I just want to go on record as agreeing with the Department of Safety for the town of Middleton that we as abutters are concerned about the air quality, the truck size, the traffic, the blasting, the noise, chemicals and/or fertilizers, et cetera, stored in here, any future leases, because all of that, of course, the Richardsons are phenomenal neighbors, but all of that messes and destroys potentially our quality of life, and that's what we're looking at here. So, in a nutshell, that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Warren wants to talk.
Okay, please.
Michelle Motzi, and I live at 9 Beach Ave, which GPS puts me at Weaver. We have all those old crazy streets up in that area.
We're late to dinner.
Several of us here do live, in the area. I heard Jill talk about the seismic measurement equipment. Could you give us an idea or give consideration to how wide of an area, how many neighbors would have that installed and have their basements inspected inside and out? Because I think it has the potential to affect all of us. Also, Mr. Fitzpatrick, I grew up in Malden. I still have family in Malden. A lot of ledge issues in Malden, some not ending very well. So we have some legitimate concerns. So
blasting before was a very different thing than blasting is now, but as far as the designated zone, it's regulated. I can't enlarge, it's regulated. I'm saying it's 400 feet from the edge of the property, of the affected property, but I have to be honest with you, I can't remember. It depends on like certain other
The
criteria.
requirement is set by the fire marshal's office.
It is, but isn't it depending on the actual site? There's a minimum and then there's some site.
It's regulated by
constraints.
the fire
Yeah,
department,
see,
the
I don't know
rules
what
set
it
by
is.
the fire marshal's office.
I can't control
Being
it.
an
But with-
attorney, though, you know that anybody can sue anybody.
They can't.
The question is, can you win, you know?
Yeah, but
If you have damages that you think are related to this project,
then you file a
you
complaint
absolutely
and you
have a
go.
right to file a suit.
Oh, let me tell you, and you know what? If you have an issue, you're not suing the Richardsons, you're suing the blasting company, so there's insurance to do it. I tell you that now. So if you have an issue, they're great neighbors, they want you to report it. This is a tightly regulated and tightly controlled activity. And it is the fire marshal, I don't know what they are, but I know there's some.
The fire marshal sets the rules enforced by the fire department. But I'm fairly confident, though, that anyone who wants to can go beyond the rules set by the fire.
Right, we just have to be reasonable and it has to be insured. So we have to work with the insurance company. Again, it's not really, believe it or not, it's not fully their decision. It doesn't, it's the insurance companies and the blasting company.
Please.
So I would respectfully ask that you be reasonable. You've always been good neighbors. We've lived in town for a lot of years, that, in the neighborhood, if people request that their property foundation inside and out be video cammed and so on and so forth, even if it's outside of the boundaries, but within reason, it's just a respectful request.
Okay, we'd like to move on and talk about a site visit. Okay, Warren, we gave you your letter, but we'll give you time too.
I'm here to speak on behalf of myself and Jim Thornton.
Well, that's why we read
We're
your
the
letter
butters.
into the record.
I'd like to speak about first of all, we're not against the development. We want to make it very clear. We think the development would be good. We have got serious concerns about the traffic. Nobody knows that road better than myself and AirTech. We live on it every day, we deal with them, every issue. The Richardson's proposal to move the current entrance to Rutland Way closer to the Starbucks 114 entrance is an issue. I had Starbucks people down. If you look on the highway, that entrance, when we designed it, you've only got about a 40-foot. He wants to move it 20 feet closer. So you now have two major traffic entrances within 20 feet of each other. There's a turning lane in the center of 114, but now as airtight trucks come down, Starbucks people come out, everybody relies on that center lane. Moving those entrances close, within 20 to 30 feet of each other, is going to be a problem. I think it'll be a problem with the state, but it's a safety issue. The 57,000 square foot building has 108 parking spaces, which if used will be an additional 216 automobile trips coming in and out and going down the existing Rutland Way. It's been stated a couple times tonight that it's a 20-foot driveway and that the Richardson Green will develop it. Well, first of all, it isn't. I already developed the 30 feet. If you're familiar with it, when you come through the Richardson area, all that new hot top, we went over and we paved easement D. So what you see now when you do your site work is the 30 feet. So it's not gonna be wider, it is what it is, okay? So you're adding 216 more cars. If this building has only 2 semi-tractor trailer deliveries a day to each unit, that's 48 semi-tractor trailer trips entering and exiting. I can tell you I've forced Starbucks and the other one to make sure that their semi-tractors are delivered at night. It's a major problem. Starbucks has 600 cars coming in. That plaza is all busy, as you know. One semi-tractor on that road creates a problem. We're talking up to 48 a day, and then mine would affect on 114. Currently, there's 7 high-volume retail establishments, including the Starbucks drive-through. In addition, to Jim Thornton's airtight facility, which has 24 trucks going in and out every day. Plus an 8,000 square foot building being constructed, okay? The problem we have is that the Richardson's proposal, it funnels all the traffic for the building and the entire pack down. What they're trying to do is take our 20-foot easement, and the best way to show it to you is on this one here. This is the existing road coming in. This is where they want to bring it closer, and you can see how close these two entrances are. But here's the real problem. These cars come out of this center. There's a stop sign here. Right now, you've got a brake, so as they come out, there's a brake for traffic. When he does this, this traffic is now right on top of the people coming out of the plaza and the people driving around. So just picture an additional 200, 300 cars coming down and now eliminating this separation and having these cars coming right out. Okay, the next thing is his entrance for the semi-tractor trailers, you look on his plan, is directly across from the Starbucks drive-through. So you've got his semi-tractors coming down here, and if you look close, there's no way, and I had, talking to had a driver come down, to make that turn and come in. You see how he turns and comes in? They have to come down and cut across this road. So they're coming down here to make that turn to get into the new proposed building. They gotta come in and block the road, and there's no other way they can bring a tractor trailer through there. And what the problem there is, again, it's a safety issue. It's a lot of traffic there, okay? And then all of the traffic, by making that move, here's your Soul Bean, which is, as you all know, is busy, the parking here. Here's the parking for the new building. This parking backs out onto that road. Remember, Rutland Way is a driveway, always was, and we developed it. So these people park in here, now they're backing out. You're now saying, let's move that entrance, let's bring all that traffic, those trucks, and bring them right here. I can tell you right now, families come here, and I've done a lot, I've changed it, and we've eliminated by me reducing this building and give them the parking, I've relieved the lot. But what happens is, a mother gets out of here, child gets out the other side, mom goes to the hatchback, little child runs out around back. Jim is sitting here. He can tell you how many close calls hitting children because of that. These trucks are coming down, all right? They want to bring the road closer. And then you got this, so all of these people, it's just a safety issue.
So wait, your
Right.
property is causing a safety issue? Because it's causing.
No, I'm saying when you turn around and make this, if he makes the road closer and increases traffic.
But
But
it's all cars from your property that are causing safety issues.
From my property onto my driveway.
Right, that are causing safety issues.
No, I don't have the safety issues now. I'm saying you're gonna when
You
you.
said mom and the kids are causing safety issues coming out of your property.
We solved it by putting the extra parking.
Right.
We solved it. I'm saying when you, my feeling is,
Oh, okay.
when you increase that traffic and bring it closer, you're gonna have a problem. This is what I'm bringing to your attention.
But the road's already there where you,
Right.
moving the driveway, moving the entrance from 114 closer doesn't bring it any closer to those parking spaces, because the road's already close to those parking spaces. Because it makes an
Yes,
S turn.
no, I've
So
got you
how
there.
does that, how does
Well, let me,
that change?
because it wasn't designed for what, it wasn't designed to have a 60,000 square foot building on that road,
But the road was, but when you sign the reciprocal easement,
right?
the driveway was designed to be where they are putting it.
We also, yes, wait a minute. I
Yes,
don't-
but, everything after, when you say yes, but, everything after but doesn't
Can I
matter.
just, I understand you probably have a problem with me, but let me
I
just.
don't have a problem with you at all.
Okay, let me finish this.
Wait a
here.
minute, whoa, you can't make a statement like that.
All right, well, let me
Whoa,
finish.
whoa, whoa, you can't make a statement like that. That is totally
right,
erroneous.
well-
I don't have a problem with you at all. I have a problem with erroneous statements.
This road, this Rutland Way was not designed
So
as it is.
when you ignore that and just move on, then clearly I was correct.
Yeah, I don't think it's, to me, what we were under the impression, all of us who signed this easement you're referring
okay.
to, we were all under the impression that he would be taking his new building,
Yep.
and he would be entering on his land and coming right in here, which would not be overburdening that 30-foot road.
Over where?
If you bring up this picture.
Well, there's the easement right there.
Okay, see the pink?
The pink.
And see the word Rutland Way? Take the pink.
The blue and the green is the
All right,
easement.
so he comes, if you leave the pink where the pink is,
Yep,
and you come straight down where you see the word Rutland Way.
correct.
You enter his property.
Correct.
So now you got all that tractor trailer traffic and everything going right into his property.
So
versus-
when you traded the pink
Right,
for the blue,
Right.
you never had any intention of him actually using the blue.
absolutely not, and neither.
So you didn't. So you never had him.
No.
You never had any intention of him using the blue. So you wanted
Right.
to take the pink,
No,
but
we
never give
intended-
him the blue.
No, he had all the blue, see all the blue going down the back?
Right. You never wanted him to use any of the blue.
That's not correct. I
Well-
did not want a 60,000 square foot building with semi-tractor trailers
I
going down.
just want to be clear.
Yes,
When
he
you-
has the
when you
right to
trade-
use it,
When
yeah.
you traded the blue for the pink, you never actually wanted him to use the blue.
No, I didn't say that.
Well, then why can't they use the blue in the front?
Why? Because I think, I just told you why.
Why did, a reciprocal
I just
easement is,
explained-
a reciprocal easement is.
Oh, well, we already-
Is one for one. So if you traded the blue in the front by 114 for the pink in the front by 114, now you're saying he can't use the blue in the
I
front by
think we've been through
114.
that in the past meetings, that there was a misunderstanding there, but second
But
of
you were
all,
represented
he
by
can't-
counsel,
he
so
can't-
you
wait a
can't go
minute,
back now
I'm
and
not
say,
going back.
Oh, wait a minute,
Well-
counsel.
He cannot relocate the pink into the blue, but that's for another day. We've already registered that with the Board of Appeals.
We understand all of the points that you've made, Mr. Kelly. Is there anything else?
Yeah, I'm gonna end it with this, that if this traffic is not seriously looked at, and someone gets hurt, and then, I think I have a problem with that.
We understand
I live
that.
there, and I think you're underplaying how much traffic a 60,000 square foot building can generate. I don't think anyone here understands that.
This property is commercially zoned.
You also are on an easement.
And it's all right for your property, for you to use it commercially, but it isn't all right for him to use it.
No, but may I remind,
For the same purpose?
May I remind you that you had strong concerns with my 11,000 square foot building, so I reduced it to 8,000. I listened to you and your concerns. I reduced my rear building to 8,000 because of your concerns. Now, those concerns have gone away, and you're insinuating that I have a problem with a 60,000 square foot building?
I'm not insinuating anything, but.
No, but I'm just saying, it's okay for me, it's not okay for
But
me.
but you've insinuated that I somehow have this problem with you, yet you've reached out to me through the board to ask for my personal phone number to reach out to me offline. You've reached out to me through Facebook to talk to me about this project offline. And now, and you've reached out to me in other ways, and then you sent a letter to me, to my house about this project offline without going through a public hearing. So I'm concerned about how you think I have this personal problem with
Well,
you when you keep reaching out to me.
I thought we had the right to
with the-
reach out to our representatives.
No, not outside of a public hearing.
And I apologize, but I thought we did.
Come on.
All right.
You're,
You've been in the business a long time.
yeah, you're a little too sophisticated for that, Mr. Kelly.
All right,
To then come back and claim that I have this problem with you then when you're reaching out to me personally.
I'm not here to get attacked or attack anyone
I'm
else.
not attacking
I'm
you at
here
all.
to-
When
am
you
concerned.
did reach out to me, I said, hey, give me a call. I'm happy to discuss this with you, didn't I?
Well, I didn't get the message, honestly.
Oh, okay.
But,
Can we
we get the message.
Yeah, let's move on.
Yeah, we have to move on, because this is
Okay,
getting
either
personal.
way, well, there's only three of us here, two of the abutters have serious issues, so let it be on the record.
We heard your issues.
Thank you.
All right, let's do a site walk.
Yep.
Date?
We'd like to get a date for a site walk.
Do you
And-
need any kind of a response to anything? If the board wants it, you can have it. If not, okay. So we are prepared to make a site walk at the discretion of the board and at the pleasure of the board.
So you need time to get the markers in and do all that?
We actually, Mike, how long will it take you to just delineate what we're doing at the site? Like, I want you to show the front. I mean, it's hard to show the front because it's already used, but we can spray paint to the extent we can't put a stake in.
Thinking like driveway.
What I'd like you to show is the driveway, the two entrance points where the property gets entered.
And just how far back it goes toward the pasture, how far back we're talking? And the abutters to, kind of, just so we get an idea how close it is to the abutters, because that's always a concern.
Yeah, it's exactly 155 feet, and we can kind of show you that. You have to actually go
Need to
up.
visualize the.
You know what we'll do too, Ms. Cody, we're gonna have to walk and go behind then, I think, because you can't get there.
You can come up my house and just go in the
Right, I just want
backyard,
to get an idea.
and you can see the whole thing.
So when?
When will be the next hearing?
It's not till December 4th.
Fifth, I think.
December.
What is the
I would
date?
rather do it before Thanksgiving, just in case there's snow or something happens. Do you have a preference to when you want it? Yeah, so
Well, it needs to probably be in the morning because of the nighttime issues with getting dark at
Yeah.
3 o'clock.
I know.
So
I
like a
would say
Sunday
at
morning
least
or
a
something.
couple weeks probably to get us a survey schedule and get this sorted.
Okay,
So
so,
how long do you need?
I mean, exactly,
I would give
because
it a
we're
couple
trying to
weeks.
schedule.
Couple weeks?
2 weeks?
So if we do 2 weeks to get the surveying done, then, is it gonna be a weekend, is it a?
It's usually like a Sunday morning or something.
Sunday or Saturday morning always.
Okay, well, the week of the 9th is a
November.
3-day weekend. We look at the 16th
Of November?
of November
November 16th, okay.
at 9 o'clock.
That is the morning of the municipal complex charrette. That is, if anyone was going to attend that at the library. And I think they were talking about a 9 to 11 or 9:30 to 11:30 time.
Are you guys
Would it
going
be
to
that long? Wouldn't be more than an hour for this,
No.
would it?
I just
No, it's-
threw that out there in
Yeah.
case anyone wanted to go.
8:30.
So November
November
16th?
16th at 9 o'clock.
9 a.m.?
Agreeable.
Absolutely, Mr. Nazaro, so we'll just park right down on Runlet Way and we'll meet you down there. November 16th.
Did the board want to make a decision on hiring an outside consultant to review the stormwater?
We have money for that now, right?
We do not.
I mean, that's something
They
they
have
do.
to put up the money.
Well, I mean, the board, they asked us to do it. I don't think we have a choice, really.
I would like to do everybody, not just pick somebody.
Yeah, so I mean, the issues we have had, and I did have a conversation with Ms. Kent, if it pleases the board, is that, it's a brand-new thing, and we are the first person to have to be subjected to it, and then when we saw what the bill was, it was absolutely outrageous, and it must be because the scope hasn't been sufficiently narrowed. So what I would love for the board to be able to do is allow us some time, and I did speak with Ms. Kent about narrowing the scope and about giving alternatives, because the cost to just review a stormwater plan, and trust me, this is outrageous, was $6,600. That's crazy. By the time, and what ends up happening half the time is an engineer redesigns, doesn't have to, but they want to, and then we have to react, and it costs us for our engineer, then we have to go back. So I would just ask if we could potentially work with Ms.
We're
Kent
gonna
and
have the
report to
site
you.
walk, and I'm gonna ask the board to continue this matter until December 5th. And
Is it the
we'll
5th or the 4th?
bring that matter up
think
at
it's
that
the
time.
Okay, I appreciate that
definitely
very
the
much, Mr. Nazaro, thank you very much.
We have a
So-
motion?
For sidewalk, or?
No.
No.
We're gonna have a
So
motion.
continue.
Yeah. We're gonna have a motion for the site walk on the 16th of November at 9 AM.
All right, make a motion to have a site walk on November 16th at 9 AM and to continue this matter.
Motion, a second?
Second.
Second, all those in
Yes.
favor, vote?
Yep.
Yes.
Aye.
Thank you very much, we appreciate your time.
We're gonna continue this matter until December 5th.
Seven.
We're going to
Yep.
continue to
So you,
December.
did you vote on that?
Yep, we did. I rolled it into one.
Thank you.
And because it's December 5th.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is
11 Oak.
11 Oak Avenue, permit number 1081.
Zoning Board of Appeals will hold a public hearing on Thursday, October 24th at Fuller Meadow on the application of Josephine Del Grosso for a special permit under Section 3.3.5 of the Middleton zoning bylaw, or any additional relief the board may find necessary to add a garage to an existing non-conforming dwelling on a property located at 11 Oak Ave, found on Assessor's Map 29, Parcel 55. And the abutters have been notified, and there are a couple of letters, too.
Okay. Is there somebody here to speak in favor of this?
Thank you.
How you doing? Joe Bocelli, Bocelli Construction, the contractor for Josephine Del Grosso. Just proposing 20 by 24 garage, probably the simplest thing of the night, an existing non-conforming structure. All the abutters are for it, they're either here or they sent in letters, and it's up to you guys.
This is for the one-car garage you're putting in?
One door, 1.5 car.
And what's the problem? It's too close?
The lot is very, yeah, it's too close to the right side lot line, but the lot is very small for the district. The house is already non-conforming, like most of them down there. And they've designed it to try to meet as much as they can and still get the 2 cars.
And how over are we over? How,
Look behind you.
I forget if this is the R1A or the R1B. I believe it's the 20,000 square foot district, so they're supposed to have a 15-foot setback. They have 12.6 in the back, 8.5 at the front. The 8.7, a little bigger than 8.5. The 8, that distance was kept so that they would be able to service the septic system that's in the back, if they ever needed to get equipment back there.
Right. Other side too, because this is her street.
There's a
where she
paper
lives.
street on the left side. The house is so close, it's less than a foot from the paper street on the left side.
It's a legal
It's a legal street.
Yeah.
Elm Ads.
so the people on that side are the Hans?
Yep, the Hans Road, I've emailed
Yeah, I got
too.
the letter.
Yeah,
I just want to see who was on that side.
yep, and then the Quillies are on the other side, and then Michelle's.
I'm immediately
You're
behind.
the,
Yep, she's
you're the
right
Santa Stefano?
No.
Nope,
less
that's
than-
Fran, she's across the street.
Oh, we gotta have you get up and speak.
Oh,
You know what
sorry.
happens, somebody comes and looks at this
I'm
tape
so
and they
sorry.
say-
Yes.
You hear people talking and they say, well, who said that
Sorry.
and what? Okay,
Happy to be at the mic.
thank you. So just identify yourself and
I'm
say
Josephine
where
Del
you
Grosso, I
and-
live at 11 Oak
Thank you.
Ave.
Thank
We'd be
you.
happy to get a garage to put our bikes in.
Put your bikes in.
Yeah.
Two-car garage to put your bikes in?
Well, yeah, and maybe a snow blower and something else.
No cars?
Yeah, cars too. But yeah, so Fran lives across the street, and all my neighbors that are abutting me are all actually excited because we live in a small ranch, and everybody's kind of tight up in that little neighborhood. So I kind of would just like to, be with the other houses and have a garage. We're the smallest house on the street. kind of want to fit in, guys.
Wow. Peer pressure.
Garage. I feel your pain. I feel your pain.
I haven't reviewed the bylaws in the last
I know,
5
is
minutes.
peer pressure a
I know, right?
reason? I'm not sure.
It's only a special permit.
That's it. That's all we want.
That's all. All right, so we have 2 letters here.
Okay, thank you.
So one is from, dated August 29th, 2019, to the board. Our neighbors, Vinnie and Josephine Del Grasso, expressed interest in building a garage for their home. My husband and I are not opposed to them adding this addition. Feel free to contact us, and that's from the Hans on the left side. Okay. And this one's dated September 20th, 2019, to the board. We are neighbors of Mr. and Mrs. Vincent Del Grosso. They have expressed interest in building a garage for their home. We personally think it's a wonderful idea, benefit them and our neighborhood in many ways. We've lived across the street from them for over 10 years now, and they've been wonderful and helpful to our family, exclamation point. That's from the Santos Stefanos.
Good.
Great.
Is there anyone here to speak in opposition of this project?
You're the only one that hasn't spoken. No, no, just kidding, just kidding.
Okay. The board have any other questions?
It's okay. I'm just kidding.
I think it's a good, she has
Who?
that.
I'm sorry, who are you?
Laurie Quayle. I'm at 15. There is that street, it's not a paper street, it's a legal street, and everybody goes down that street. You can get to her backyard, there's nothing stopping anybody from getting to that backyard if something was to happen to her septic.
And she's the only one without a garage.
She's the only one without a garage.
Can you believe it?
And her poor son has severe asthma, and I think having the car inside the garage would
like
help
a
him
pet.
with the pollen and everything. I just think it's a good idea. I think she should get a 2-car garage. Everybody's got a 2-car garage.
It'll
she
add to
wants.
the aesthetic of the
Right.
entire neighborhood.
She'll fit in.
I'll fit in.
She won't look like the.
I've heard quite a bit of evidence presented today.
Go for it. Get room.
Based on the voluminous evidence presented tonight, and after careful review, I would propose that the board make the following finding, that the proposed modification will not be substantially more detrimental to the existing non-conforming structure. Yeah, good.
I'll second that.
Motion's made and second. All those in favor, vote.
Yes.
Aye.
Based on that finding, I will make a motion to issue a special permit under section 3.3.5 to allow the proposed garage to be no closer than 8 feet to the side lot line. Period. Exclamation point.
I'll second that. I'll second it.
Motion's made and second.
Hashtag.
All those in favor, vote.
Yep, yes.
Aye.
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 Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
You fit in.
I fit in! Welcome to Middleton.
Good luck with the baby.
All right, we have one last bit of information here. We never voted on the minutes.
Hey, stop interrupting the meeting.
Oh, we're still in the middle of the meeting.
All right, go ahead.
All right, the next item on the agenda is the minutes of the September 26th meeting. All board members should have a copy. Are there any questions? If not, we anticipate a motion.
I move we accept the minutes as presented.
Motion's made to accept the minutes of the meeting of September 26th. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Motion's made and second. All those in favor, vote.
Yep. Yes.
Aye.
Aye.
Sustained.
There any other business? There being no other business, we anticipate a motion to adjourn.
Got it.
Meeting is adjourned.